man. Let's talk about this Cowboy stuff. Let me just say this. I like Osa Odighizuwa. Think he's a really good player. I think he's a great person. And this is no shot at Osa. This is not me carrying the water, because I know some of you nerds out there in the content creation space, some of you L7 weenies, some of you gooch juice hot dog smelling punks are like, oh, well, the media, they go and they do this work for the Cowboys and they try to slander that. No, shut up. Shut up. Before I give one of y'all for real a knuckle sandwich. But I'm out. I know that the Cowboys are looking to sign Osa. And again, I think Osa's a good player. I think the Cowboys did what the Cowboys do, and they find themselves in a situation where they're going to have to pay premium price for a not premium player. And again, this is nothing against Osa. I like Osa, and I do want Osa to get the entire bag. But if we're talking about properly constructing a football team, the first thing, and the first area that the Cowboys begin to mess up in was, if you believed that Osa Odighizuwa was a guy that you felt was going to be a part of your future and was worthy enough to be part of your future, should have signed him a year ago. Should have gave him, this is what, I cannot reiterate this enough. This is what good football teams do. Like, I'm going to give you an example. You know who we should hear get a contract extension this year, this offseason? You want to know? Yes, Micah, for sure. But you really want to know who should get one? Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith. See, and what the Cowboys will do is that they'll let Tyler Smith rack up 2 more Pro Bowl seasons, and they'll let him get to the end of his deal, and then he's going to say, well, I got 3 Pro Bowls in a row. I'm the best offensive lineman that you have. Now I want top of the market guard money. When if you know that he's going to be a person that's going to be in your future and he's going to be a staple on your offensive line, get him done now. Get him done now. So that now you can work that money down the line. You can lower cap hits. You can do so many different things, but you wait till the last minute, and this is what you've done with Osa. Osa's a guy that you should have probably signed a year ago or more. And went on and just said, hey, instead of you now asking for the between $21 and $24 million, we could have got Osa at $15, $16 million. Between $14 and $16 million. But this is what the Cowboys do. But I look at it and I go, there's other ways that you can now take that money that you would pay Osa and go get multiple players. The other day, the Washington Commanders decided that one of their best defensive linemen, Jonathan Allen, that he can go and seek a trade. Jonathan Allen's been to a couple Pro Bowls. I like Jonathan Allen. Go get a Jonathan Allen. Go get a guy like Punda Ford. Go get 3 other guys. Go get 3 other guys on shorter deals where you're not paying all this money to Osa, when I can go get 3 guys that will probably play better than Osa. Osa's a good player, not an elite player. He's not elite. And again, I'm not trying to slander his name. I'm saying that you're about to pay. He's about to, if you pay him what he's asking for, he's going to be the 10th highest paid defensive lineman in the league. Think about that for a second. I don't know if Osa belongs in that conversation. Now, he's striking right now while the market is the way the market is. And so there aren't many other comps in his field. Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles, who's a Crowley kid, is kind of the next one on the level. And I think you may have a better player in Milton than you do in Osa. And I do want Osa to get the money. $1 bill, y'all. But I'm just thinking from a business perspective that you can do more with that money than play a player whose skill set is not on par with the money that you're getting ready to pay him. And then now you'll be stuck paying him, like I said, 10th highest in all the league. So if I had to make a decision today, now if they somehow, some way trick Osa into taking less than what he's actually commanding right now, that's on them. And we'll see when those numbers come out. But the Cowboys got to stop. They got to stop backing themselves into these type of holes. When you can go sign guys a little bit ahead of time, and you can go sign guys to more favorable deals, because most guys are trying to get to that second contract. And when you're not a high first round or high second round pick, when you go later on in the draft, all this now is newfound money. All this now is second contract that you're talking about. And you're a guy who's in that conversation. This is newfound money for you, and you take that money, and now you're happy. Your agent's happy. You're happy. Everybody's rich. But you wait, and now guys like Osa Odighizuwa is getting ready to get paid tremendously. But that's the Cowboys' MO. The Cowboys' MO is draft, develop, pay them. They don't like going outside of they don't like going outside the house. They like to draft their guys, pay their guys, draft their guys, develop their guys, pay those guys. And again, bringing Osa back doesn't make you better. It makes you the same. Right? Like if you do nothing else, bringing Osa back doesn't make you better. It makes you the same. Now, it's Osa plus. But does signing back Osa limit to you being able to pay some of the other guys, some of the top of the market guys, free agents, they're just due to make you actually make your team better? And I asked that question because you have your general manager and son of, well, not general manager, COO, and son of Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. He comes out and he says, we're going to be selectively aggressive in free agency. Selectively aggressive in free agency. Selectively aggressive in free agency. I have no clue what that means. I have zero clue on what that actually means. Is this the 2025 version of All In? Like, I don't know what that means. And is when you say selectively aggressive, does that mean, because free agency, technically, Osa is a free agent. Technically, the Cowboys have like 25, 6, 7, 8, 28, I think, free agents on their roster they had last year. 28 of those players are free agents. So are you selectively picking from that group? Is this the new slang term for All In? But I don't know what selectively aggressive is. I need you to be dominantly aggressive. I need you to be actively aggressive. I need you to be win at all cost aggressive. I need you to be truly all in aggressive, especially in the trenches. Right now, I am not getting off this wave because I do believe that the Cowboys have to secure the trenches, both offensively and defensively. That needs to be paramount. That needs to be paramount. So when Steven says selectively aggressive, I do not know what that means. But I do know defensively, when you look at what Matt Eberflus is as a defensive coordinator, he's not a guy. He's not Spags. He's not Vic Fangio. He's not these guys that are going to give you these exotic looks and going to create simulated pressures and going to say, hey, look over here, but the blitz is coming from over here. Not that kind of guy. Not that kind of coach. Not that kind of defensive coordinator. He's more of straight up and down, we're coming at you, eyes on the ball. And so I start thinking about now, and the selective aggressiveness, in order to have a lot of guys be successful in that offense, you need to have guys that can win the one-on-one battles with no help. And right now, the only guy that I feel like can truly close my eyes, go to bed at night, and say that there's the guys that can significantly, consistently, and dominantly win one-on-one battles with no help, no stunts, no simulated pressures, no exotic looks, any of that. One guy. You know his name, you know his number. Number 11, Micah Parsons. He don't need no help. You line him up against anybody short of Jesus Christ, and he's probably going to win most of those battles. But if you have a bunch of other less than guys and you're not setting up these type of exotic things, don't know how you get home. Don't know how you stop the run. Don't know how you create pressure. So that's why I'm like selective aggressiveness or selectively aggressive. I don't even know what that means. We'll spend all season trying to figure out what it means. And then maybe October or November, they'll finally tell us what it means. And they'll say it's, hey, we were selectively, we paid these guys. We paid Micah, we paid Osa. We were really aggressive in paying those guys top of the line money, and that's when they'll be selectively aggressive. Again, signing Micah, signing Osa doesn't make your team better. Those are guys who are already been a part of your team. You have to add to those guys to actively and selectively and aggressively become better. One way, flipping to the other side of the ball, stories have come out when you're talking about offensive linemen. You know that Connor Riley was signed by Brian Schottenheimer to be the offensive line coach. He comes from Kansas State, from the college ranks, who, by the way, he was Cooper Beebe's offensive line coach when he was an All-American at K-State. Then you have Clayton Adams, who came over from Arizona, who was the offensive line coach in Arizona, who's now sitting in the offensive coordinator, but not calling the plays offensive coordinator seat in Dallas under Brian Schottenheimer. So now you start asking yourself the question where the Cowboys, what are they going to do at offensive line? As we sit today, there is one thing that is set in stone, that I believe should be set in stone. There's one player that should be solidified who doesn't have to worry about the musical chairs or the O-line carousel. Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, your left guard, it should be, hey, Tyler Smith, you're going to play left guard, and you're going to play left guard for the next 10 years. The rest of y'all, you better get the hell in when you fit in. And now you have the conversation for a guy like Cooper Beebe is his natural position is actually guard. He played guard in college. When he came to the Cowboys, they moved him to center, and it was the having to understand how to snap the ball and punch at the same time. Like that combination is one that was a transitional piece for him, and he did okay. He had his moments in this season this year where he was really good, and he had some moments where he wasn't really good. And then you still have the experiment in Tyler Guyton at left tackle. You don't know what Hoffman is going to be. If we had to play a game today, I would think that Hoffman is your right guard. And then they try to have the conversation about, we like Terrence Steele. We think that we can do a lot of things with Terrence Steele. Now, I will say in the defense of Terrence Steele, and to give Terrence Steele some credit, Terrence Steele was actually really, really, really decent beyond decent. I'll give him credit. He was good when it came to pass blocking. Terrence Steele was one of the best pass blocking tackles in the National Football League. But when it came down to holding that pass rush up, though, it was bad. It was bad, real bad. So when you got bookend real bad tackles, it makes life very difficult for you to do anything at the quarterback position, especially when your quarterback isn't one that scrambles a lot or runs a lot. We know that's just not Dak Prescott's game at this point in time in his career. So now is the time where, if you're going to make the musical chairs, if you're going to move guys around, now's the time to do it. But once you figure this out, and we had this conversation many times last year about what is the Cowboys' best five to go out there each and every Sunday. And so you got to figure out who fits around Tyler Smith because he's your left guard. And I do believe that if you're going to try guys out, because you do have a new coaching staff, you have a new line coach, which means his techniques and what you learned under Mike Solari are probably going to be different. Whether that be feet work, stance, hand placement, hand work, how you do certain things, it's going to be different. Every coach is going to bring their own specific thing to the forefront. And then Clayton Adams is going to have a certain things. And now, it may be more pin and pulls. It may be more zones. It may be more, it may be a host of different things from the blocking scheme side of things. So they're going to have to learn some of those things. And then how is Brian Schottenheimer going to actually call these games? Some people say he's going to be pound and ground. Like lean into the running game. Pause. Some people say it'll be game specific, that he'll come into these games and it'll sometimes be like, you know what, this team, we can pass the ball 35 times. We're going to pass the ball 35 times and run the ball 10 times. Other games, hey, we can run the ball 35 times. So we're going to run the ball 35 times and pass the ball 10 times. So there isn't really a true designation just yet on what Shotty's going to be as a play caller. We'll find out. But I think for the offensive line is, okay, cool. Let's try some things out. But when we leave and we are done with the OTAs / mini camps or whatever have you, when we are done with that, whether you draft some guys, you sign some guys, because you hear names like guys like Will Hernandez, who was under Clayton at Arizona and was drafted and spent time with the New York Giants. So he's a veteran, got hurt last year, but is healthy now and will be ready for the offseason. He's a guy who's out there on the market. There's some other things that may happen. You see it every single day. More guys are coming available. Some teams are saying, all right, we're cutting this guy, whatever. Whatever it is that they decide to do, because Coach Riley can say, you know what, man, I had Cooper Beebe at college. He's a right guard. He needs to play right guard. Hoffman is a center. Hoffman, you play center. And we're rolling with that. But when you get through with OTAs, when you're done with minicamp, when those off-season activities are done and you head out to take that break before training camp, oh, buddy, you better have it figured out. Because what you cannot do, barring any significant or catastrophic or long-term injury, what you cannot do is you cannot get to training camp and don't have an answer. You don't have time for that. You don't have time to get in training camp and all of a sudden thinking about what is it going to be, who's going to be where, all this other crazy stuff. You don't have time. You need to go and be 100% on learning the defense, learning the offense, having guys ready to go, and give me the best five and let them rep this goddamn thing out. Doing the musical chairs at training camp is a waste of time because here's what you cannot afford. And if you've been around the Cowboys long enough, there are countless times where we didn't have our stuff together leaving training camp. Players were holding out, guys weren't here, things weren't being done. When that happens, you end up losing games at the beginning of the year that cost you later in the year. You end up looking back and you go, man, We would have had a higher seed had we not lost that game in week 2, because you're still trying to figure things out. Or, man, we lost that game in week 4 to, a conference opponent or division opponent. And now we're in January and we're counting on our fingers how many games we need to win to make the playoffs, or how we can better our seeding so we don't have to go on the road, or how we don't have to face the best team, give ourselves a chance to actually go deeper into the playoffs. So when you leave training camp, boy, do you have to have the answers, at least to your offensive line. Not training camp. When you leave OTAs, When you leave OTAs and mini camps and whatever those off-season activities are, those mandatory ones, you got to hit the ground running when you get to training camp. It has to be full steam ahead. We are set. We are ready to go. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. They had time to fine-tune it in their little bit of break, but you got to go. You got to go. Because I know that Brian Schottenheimer signed a 4-year deal, but if you come out this first year and you don't make the playoffs, that seat gonna get real hot real fast. So you don't have time for a bad time. You are here to make an immediate impact, especially when the fan base wasn't really. You didn't have a large majority of people like, yes, Brian Schottenheimer. You have more of the people like, oh, I don't know about this one. I don't know about Shorty. This might not be the one. So the last thing that you want to do is start off slow. And now you're 1-2, 2-2. I won't bode well for you. The boos will get real loud. Those whispers will get real loud on you as a player. But we'll see. The Cowboys have the draft coming up. We'll see where they go in the draft. I have the number 12 pick. And right now, I don't know where they're going to go in this draft. People say Genty or Tet, McMillan out of Arizona, the receiver. Or I, for one, am an Ibuka fan. I think you go ahead and you trade back. You go get a Mecca Ibuka. You pick up some later picks right there. And you give CeeDee Lamb the running mate that he needs. You give him a pro right now. I think a Mecca Ibuka is a pro, is a 10-year pro right now. Number 2 receiver, probably the best route runner early in this draft, can do it all. And you think about, I know he's never been a number 1 receiver at Ohio State, but when you look at Emeka, look who Emeka had to play behind. There's Garrett Wilson, there's Marvin Harrison Jr., there's who else? There's Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's another one, isn't it? There was Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson. Then it was Marvin Harrison Jr. And then this year, you had the young kid. Jeremiah Smith. You had all 4 of those guys are for sure number 1s. But all Jackson Smith did was goes and does and just gets you, 60 to 70 catches, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Go look it up. He'll do the same thing in the pros. He'll be 60 catches, 800 yards, between 8 and 9 touchdowns. A perfect complementary receiver to CeeDee Lamb. Perfect in my eyes. But we'll see what the Cowboys do in this draft.